All right, let's have a little fun, because fun is fun, right? We're still speaking truth, but we're making a little balance with things. Anything you can say at this current time and age, or this yuga, that's dominated predominantly by ego consciousness, it's going to corrupt everything. It can be the highest teaching, highest yoga, secret techniques being shared, and the mind's going to take it and corrupt it. This also brings up a good example of you ever notice, like, you're sharing with somebody something. This used to drive me mad. I'm sharing something that's true, whatever it is. I'm sharing something that's true. The people you're sharing it with, they can only interpret it based on their current level of consciousness. So they're going to take what you share, they're going to step down that frequency to their current level, their frequency, and then think they understood what you said. They're like, oh, he said this. I'm like, I didn't say that. They're like, yeah, you did. Their mind interprets things and then projects that onto the person saying it and thinks that's what they said. Okay, so that's what happens on individual level. On collective level, mainstream level, it takes these teachings, these pointings, this yoga practice, whatever, and then it steps it down to that collective frequency, which in a lot of cases is about money or merchandising or sex, these things. We'll get into that in a minute, about yoga, how fallen yoga's become. They got yoga for everything now. Underwater yoga and laughing yoga. The non-duals are good at that. Goat yoga. Yeah, let's talk about that in a second. But I have my Indian friend who I've known him now almost 20 years. Rishikesh, India was cool. The foothills of the Himalayas. It was cool about 12 years ago. It was cool. It was more authentic, more it was just more pure. Then Westerners started finding out about it more and more. And now it's just become insane. I mean, it was a little insane when I was there, but for the most part, it was livable. But now he finally left. I've been telling him for like 15 years, like, bro, leave, man. Like, because he was born there, he grew up in the ashram, but his frequency doesn't match that. He's the real deal, you know, very, very authentic and organic. And he's surrounded by all this spiritual commercialism, merchandising. Because there's like a yoga center on every corner, meditation center on every corner, courses. Here's all the courses. This will make you enlightened. Here, give me some money and you can meet my spiritual teacher. He'll give you darshan, and then that'll open you up. Or buy these yoga courses. You're like, I already know those postures though. I had a private Indian teacher. He wasn't Indian. I had a private teacher, and he taught me these kriyas and bandhas, and he says, no. If you get them from me or from my guru, they're blessed. This is what you need. If they're not blessed, you can't, you know. So that's happening on a sickening level. And it keeps getting worse. And I'm like, how is it possible? I know how it's possible, but it's like still something. I didn't realize how low level the mainstream was really until until the internet, really. Because then you see, you're like, because you know sometimes through individual conversations and meetings, you're like, okay, they don't quite understand some things. But then when you see it on a vast level, I mean, like, clearly people who are speaking, but they're not one with their words on any level. It's just it's as obvious as the sun's out right now. But yet then you look at the disciples or students or comments and they're like, oh my God, like, we're watching God. That's, how do you explain that feeling? Some of you know what I'm talking about. You're like, whoa, what planet am I on, you know? So that's an example of how these high-level teachings or spirituality, it just gets way stepped down. And like I was sharing about yoga, what happened to the real yoga, the ancient practice of yoga, which is to create balance between, you can say, the causal body, astral body, physical body, mind, emotional body, or energy body, and your physical body. This is the purpose of yoga, to return some union to that. But nowadays, super fashionable, man. It's like they go there to hook up. It's like a hookup. They have the yoga. What's it called? Well, they have co-ed nude yoga. I was laughing about that the other day. It's like, okay, I'm going to go to the yoga class, and I'm not going to look at the girl. Nope, she's bent over in front of me, but I don't even know she's a girl, because like I'm spiritual. And the girls, sure, no, we're not checking out the man's equipment. No, we're doing yoga because it's spiritual. But the undertones of such class, they're all sex addicts. It's like Kama Sutra yoga or these tantric classes. They're like all horny. But in the name, the mind has to justify it to hold on to its spiritual identity, so it can't admit that. Ultimate spiritual bypassing. So it's like, how can we justify it so that we can continue to indulge in our desires, but like keep it hidden from our consciousness? We'll call it yoga. There you go. Found a loophole. So that's being played out on so many levels, man. The spiritual realm is like infested with unconsciousness, postulating as consciousness. And goat yoga, what about that? Bunch of little baby goats running around when you're doing yoga, because the baby goats, they have such nice energy, and then you absorb that energy, so then the life force can move better, and all these things. Okay, did I miss anything on this video? We're at 7 minutes. Okay, so lastly, this is a very subtle trap that the ego mind, it likes to hold on to identity. Ego mind can't exist without identity. Well, what better identity than spiritual identity? This is because, like, who's going to call you out on it? You won't even call yourself out on it, because it's spiritual, right? I'm spiritual. The mind takes that, though, and then the imagination, even if you do have some spiritual experiences, okay, like everybody does, it's not a big deal. The mind will take that and blow it way out of proportion and exaggerate it. Then the identity really comes in, and then it can claim some spirituality. I'm a spiritual person now because, like, I saw some lights, or I felt a great sense of peace. If that was the case, I could say I'm enlightened at 11 years old, because I had an experience that just blew me away. But it doesn't stop. This process is ongoing forever. You can always merge more and more with the source. I keep saying that, and I have to keep saying it. So, bottom line, you check yourself, and you just, is the practice that you're doing now, or I've never been attracted to, if I think about it, my friends, especially girlfriends, they've never really been in that mainstream collective spiritual soup. It's like some of the most sticky, passive-aggressive, just uncomfortable energy to be around for me. I like to hang out like with this, just be real. That's it. Let's just be real. If you rob banks, that's cool. Just don't justify it and say you're doing it to like feed the homeless or something. Just, you rob banks because you like the thrill. Okay. I like people. I haven't really hanged out with a bank robber, but I'm saying, just admit where you're at. That's all. Just be where you're at. It's so much more attractive, man, than being pretentious and putting on airs and trying to be something. Like this human show is a trip. I think I'm gonna make a video on how spirituality is like a mental hospital or something. I can get more specific into that. And somehow it feels balancing, you know. I'm not resentful at any of this stuff. Like it's God's show. It's God's play. we all do it to some degree. Some do it a little more, than others. It's like some people, everybody has all these defects of character and attributes in them. It's just some get more exaggerated than others. Some people, let's say they have a defect of character, they treat people bad or mean. Maybe they do it with their speech. Other people like hurt and torture people. It's different degrees. So it's the same with the spirituality. Some are like way out there in the fluffiness, in organizations. Imagine, I was thinking about that earlier. If, or when I was walking here actually, because like if you were in a war or something, you're fighting the enemy and each side thinks the other's the enemy. It's like they're both enemies, and they're both not enemies. It's duality. But let's say one of the sides captured the other side, and then they're putting them through some torture mechanism. They have something where they put this like headset on, and just play this loud music and all these images, and the person's like, okay, I'll talk. I was thinking they could put non-dual talk on the headset. That would get me. I'd be like, can you give me that loud music back? No, you have to listen to the non-duals. Okay, I'll talk, whatever. What's your name? This is my name. My headquarters, such and such location. Just, don't make me listen to that stuff. All right, I'll see you.